Authors Press.
Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio, welcoming you to another edition of People of Distinction. The talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. And on the line with us today, we have Niroma De Zoysa. We'll be discussing her book, Discover Your True Self and Live Your Best Life Today, introducing a new concept for living life on Earth. Guys, do yourself a favor, go directly to Niroma's personal site, CoachNiroma.com. There, you won't be able to purchase the book, but you can gather more information on Niroma herself, as well as gathering more information on her book. So one more time, that's CoachNiroma.com. And I will say, Niroma was brought to People of Distinction today by some of the best movers in the business. Authors Press Publishing. If you have a book that you'd like moved, well, move it through Authors Press. You can find them at authorspress.com. And guys, it is such a delight to have Niroma here on the line with us because the book we're going to be discussing, through the title, you know what it's going to be about. Discover your true self and live your best life today. Guys, this is such an amazing book and an amazing narrative, and Niroma is going to give us practical tips for us to figure out how to live our best life. And not only how to live our best life today, but coming up as well. In using this fantastic book that Niroma has put together for us, you're going to be given specific tips on how to live your best life. So without further ado, she's the expert on the matter. Let's go ahead, let's bring her on here with us. Niroma, first and foremost, thank you so much for being a guest with us on People of Distinction. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you very much, Benji, and thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Well, listen, as I stated, this is a message that we all need right now, so we're very much looking forward to it. Now, before we jump into your book itself, let's hold off slightly, Niroma. Tell our listening audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay, a little bit about myself. I was born in a little tiny island called Sri Lanka. It's also known as the Pole of the Indian Ocean. And that's where I was born. And I lived there for about 23 years. And then I immigrated to Canada. And so ever since then, I've been living here in Canada, Toronto. And I consider this as my home. And what I have been doing is that as an immigrant, just like most immigrants do experience, I was struggling to find my identity here. So for about 10 years, I struggled because I couldn't do what I was doing in my country of origin. And then I found this path as a counselor. And I wanted to pursue my career as a counselor in career and vocational counseling. And so about 20 years ago or 21 years ago, I embarked in the career. I went to school. I had to go back to school again. And so that is what I have been doing for the past 21 years, being a counselor, a coach. And my background is in adult education, training, coaching. I've done spiritual coaching and all those things. So that is a little bit about my long history.
Niroma, thank you so much for sharing. What a great background and impressive resume. Now, let's jump right in. Discover your true self and live your best life today. Introducing a new concept for living life on Earth. Tell us a little bit about your book.
Okay, I'm so excited about this because, Benji, this is a very, very special book. Mm-hmm. In this, what I say is, as a child, I always wanted to write, and I'm more of a writer than a talker, and I always thought that I would write a book or two or even three, but this is not the book that I thought I would write. This is a order from my source. And when I say source, I refer to him as God, and not in a religious context. And with my source, I have had a relationship as a child, and he has always guided me and given me direction in life, and I am who I am today. It's because of him. So in year 2000, I was in a place where I felt like really, really depressed, and I was not happy with where I am going, and I kind of wanted to leave this earth. And at that time, he said that, I want you to do some work for me. And I quite didn't understand what it was. And he told me, I want you to show people how to live. And I thought, what? How can I show people how to live? Because I don't even know how to live. And that was it. And that, and reluctantly I got into this, and I was on a path. I was put on a path, but I never ever thought that I would be writing a book on that. But maybe 2-3 years ago, he asked me to write this book. So in year 2018, this was an order to write a book. And he specifically said, write it in very simple terms, no fluff. So if you read my book, it's very, very simple, very easy to read, but it's quite deep though. And he also told me that some people are waiting to hear this message. He said 25% or less of the book reading population in the world would be interested in this message. He didn't say 100%. So I wrote the book, and so this is how it happened. I did not know about COVID then, and I am kind of in shock because this is a book that is written for this time period. This time period that we are going through a transition, a world that we know has collapsed and it's falling apart. What we knew in February or March, we can't go back to it. It's no more. And so we are in a period of transition. There is endings, but there is also a new beginning. So while we are getting where we have to go to, we still have to stay here. Many, many people have departed. I think many more will depart. Some of us will stay, some of us will have to leave. We don't know who gets to stay and who gets to leave.
Absolutely.
This is a book for people who are here now. So it is about trying to be, how can I put this? To be a lily, because lilies grow in mud. The world that we live today, it's like mud. It's slimy, it's slippery, it's dark, there's death and destruction and sickness all over, all around us. But still we are here, we are breathing. So we have to sit on mud like lilies and also blossom, because that's what we came here for. And this book is about that.
Thank you so much, Niroma. And what a great image to utilize and really to draw the connection from. You're talking about lilies and how they grow in mud, and in a situation that is obviously not ideal and not the best, but still such beauty comes from it. And what a great image to really juxtapose what we're going through right now with. Now, Niroma, the book that you've orchestrated for us, such an amazing narrative, and you talked about yourself. It's a very simple to read book, right? So practical steps, easy to follow, easy to read. Talk to our listening audience. Why did you feel that this was a book that needed to be written? I know you're talking about what inspired you to write this book, and listen, call it divine intervention, call it inspiration, whatever it may be. you were spoken to, right? You have this voice that reached out to you and told you that this book needed to come to fruition. Now, was there anything else that helped push that along, or really was that the main force of inspiration that kind of helped bring this to life?
Well, the main source of inspiration is the order from my source, but this is also the path that he put me through. I didn't know, as I said, that I had to write a book on this. And it took me 20 years to get to where I am. But because of my background as a coach, as a counselor, and as an adult teacher, I was able to put that into kind of like a curriculum so that the person who is reading the book obviously don't have 20 years to get there, and can have a step-by-step instructions. So that is, and I am, the inspiration is also the path that he showed me has really worked for me. I am a lot better person. I understand the value of myself here on earth and the need for my presence in this world, in this big world. But here I am, a dot-like person, but I have value, and each and every person who is here, who is breathing, has value. And so that also inspired me, because it is something that I totally believe in. But the main source of inspiration is the order that came from my source.
Absolutely. Now, following off of that, I mean, listen, let's not hold off any longer. My audience is going to get upset with me if I don't already ask the question. We're talking about these practical tips, this practical guide. Please, Niroma, if you can you give us some of those tips? Can you share some of them? Now, of course, we don't want to go into all of them, okay? Guys, you know what you got to do. If you want to get all of the tips, head on over, as we stated, to Amazon, Balboa Press Publishing, or chapters.indigo.ca and pick up your copy of Discover Your True Self and Live Your Best Life Today by Niroma De Zoysa. Now, if you can, please give us some of the tips that you discuss in the books, just so we have a little bit of a taste of what to expect.
Absolutely. Just very quickly, I would like to know, because what entails in this book is the three phases, the three journeys. Phase one is a journey inwards. That is to go and meet yourself, inner self. There is so much wealth in ourselves. And that we actually go to school for anything and everything. We go to school to decorate cupcakes, or, to ride a bike or anything like that. But we never go to school to learn about ourselves. There's so much value, so much wealth, so much resources just inside of us. And we have not taken that journey. Many of us have not taken that journey. So it is the time, and it's so I can see the necessity, because with COVID, there's not a lot we can do right now. Mm-hmm. So although this book was written prior to COVID, I can now see that it was written for COVID. And so here's the time for you to take that time to go inside. So I've given steps to go inside yourself to figure out who you are. Who you are is not about your positions or titles or anything, what you have, what you drive, what you own, not that, but who are you really? So it answers that question. The second thing is that you take an upward journey to your source. And source here is not about religion. He specifically asked me to stay away from religion. I don't know about any religion. I respect all religions. This is about the person or the source that you identify, and it's unique to each person. Who gives you breath? Who gives you breath? You have to have a connection with your source. If not, it's not like the cell phone that you carry on your palm, but if it's not connected, you can't make much use of the phone, right? The third and the last is outward journey. It's about the rest of the world. So in this, there is a very clear paradigm shift. This is a paradigm shift. Some things that we have been doing, they have to have a shift. So in the old world, everything was centered around the outside world. In the new world, it's about us, our true selves, our authentic selves, our unique selves, and how you can live life on purpose if you connect to your source, because it's your source who knows why you are here on earth at this time.
Perfect. There you have it. Next question that I'm really curious about, Niroma. What would you say was a highlight for you in writing this book?
Highlight is the lesson that I learned, because here I am. I want to write a book, and I want to be, even if I'm a no-name author, I still want it to be on the bestsellers list. So here I am perfecting the message again and again and again. And by the way, I am a English as a second language speaker. So English is not my first language. And so it's not, the writing language is not my first language. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to perfect it, and he told me this has to go out in a certain time period. And you can make it perfect, but there's nothing in it for me. So that was a real highlight, because oftentimes, when we have to do something, and this is for all of us, we just have to do it. And many of us, we know how to do it. We have the skills and the talents and the gifts to do it, but yet we don't do it. And certain things, we have to do it when it's needed. So that's what I learned, and that is a highlight for me. Something very important, a very important lesson that I learned when I was writing this book.
Guys, what more can be said? All right. You know what you got to do. I mean, listen, as we've stated so many times in this interview, this COVID situation has really turned everything upside down, right? Life, we've never encountered anything like what we're going through right now. Okay. And life has shifted so much, but at the end of the day, all we have to do is shift with it. Our focus to what we used to know has altered, but that doesn't mean we can't overcome it, right? This book is so fantastic in terms of just allowing you to have a step-by-step guide on how to alter your perception, how to change your view, your perspective, to really adjusting to the new norm. So one last time, guys, here on the line with Niroma De Zoysa, we're discussing her book, Discover Your True Self and Live Your Best Life Today. Niroma, this has been an absolute delight. And listen, it shows why you've been doing this for so long. I mean, your book is one thing, and I know that that wasn't something that you specifically started with. As you stated, you're the messenger, right? Relaying this message. But your background, you've been a life coach for years. I mean, this is right up your alley. And we could not have found a better person to relay such an amazing and impactful message. So Niroma, thank you once again for being a guest with us today on People of Distinction.
Okay. I was actually listening to your voice. You have such a beautiful voice. And then I forgot that I am actually in the interview. Thank you very much, Benji, and thank you very much for having me here. And I also want to thank you, Authors Press, especially Ethan Blair. He's the one who came up with this idea, and I thought that was really fantastic, that this is the time. He reminded me that this is the time to do this. Thank you so much.